This is Bertie Bird, and I'll be going through my Inktober 2018. So the tools I used during Inktober were just a bunch of basic big biro. I used stencil set. I used a 0.5, 0.05 uniball fine liner. I used some of these Touch New sketch markers, which were fairly cheap, and there was a large selection. So I used the Warm Grey 6, Warm Grey 3, and this came with the set as well. I'm not sure if it's the same sort of stuff, but it was a Warm Grey 4. It actually says, I think it's Stadler. I used brown sepia ink, Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay, and these brush pens, refillable ones. So I've put a light wash in one of them, not too light, and the other one is just the pure ink. So bought these ones. They're not the Pentel ones, and they probably would have been better. These ones weren't ideal when using ink. Watercolor's fine, but when using ink with these ones, it was a little harder to control. Anyway, and mainly for the inks itself, was my Pentel pocket brush pen, and for the outlines, the actual layouts, I used one of these multicolored biros. So ones with green, blue, and red. I can't seem to find it right now. I thought I had it here, but I don't. Anyway, so this is the cover I put on my book. I'll tell you what was the make of this sketchbook. I only did this at the end using a Pentel white gel pen to draw on the black. Yeah, so I'll just show you what book I used. It was an Art Gecko sketchbook. This is an A5 sketchbook, and it's quite good. So initially I don't have a cover page, so to speak, but I will design one for my zine, because I decided I'm going to release them for my zine. Anyway, going through the extra sketch. So day one, this was Lavender Witch, because for my Inktober I went with doing Botanical Witches, and that was set by another artist. Right, so with this one, it was a general kind of simplistic design, purely because it was based on the time I had, as I had work as well. But anyway, moving on, as I want to quickly briefly go over this. As you can see, I used the grey, and I used I used two different kind of pinky purples for lavender. Right, yeah. Once again, same sort of thing with day two. This one being Rosemary Witch. As I was just using kind of ideas that were like popping to my head, I thought, oh, this would be a great idea. I just realised also, this one here, this leaf there, was uninked. That's absolutely fine. I've got the biro. Not noticeable. Looks like it works. So with the acorn witch, I thought about an acorn and a witch being the acorn, and the top side being her hat. It was me when I was still being relatively creative through the processes. I was quite excited during Inktober. Henna witch, yeah. So I looked up like henna tattoos, and I kind of like did my own. I should have paid more attention, I think, when using the reference, because although the patterns were they were very symmetrical, and it was so well planned out when looking at them. And when I put ink to paper, it didn't. I didn't actually plan it. I should have planned it, and that way I could have made it more accurate, and still made it my own design. But anyway, as it was okay. I think I kind of like just got through it, but I still liked the piece. It still looked okay. Anemone. So I made the mistake of drawing the head and then planning everything else after, which I shouldn't have done, but only because I keep thinking about, so after work, you know, how do I fit everything and squeeze it all in? And this was an example where it could have been a lot better, but I still think, well, it was still early and there was room for improvement. Right, chamomile, as you can see, first page, it was a botch up to do the lettering. So I started again and did this piece, and this time I wanted to actually work on like background and just do something to see if I can make it a little bit more interesting. And as chamomile is quite a cool kind of like, when I say cool, more like a calm tea, I wanted to put it in a kind of cool cafe-like setting. So the chamomile witch is working or chilling on a laptop in a cafe shop with a chamomile tea, and yeah, I thought with a chamomile hippie style kind of like hipster headband. Right, that's chamomile tea. Prickly pear, once again I wanted to do a bit backgrounds, and I thought as a cactus, prickly pear was a bit, I don't know, it could have been interesting, might not be interesting, and I thought, why not turn these into kind of like monsters? And as I haven't really put in too many hats on my witches, and I don't think it's necessary to have witches walking around completely always wearing hats to, e.g. identify a witch, but I thought with this one gets a mouth and eyes and a bit more personality to go with the prickly pears. Quite like this one. I like the way it turned out. This is the reishi fungus, the one that will go on the tree. I could have done this, I suppose, differently. The tree is set there. We have another reishi which I didn't colour in, sitting at the top there. Right, I could have coloured it in, but I didn't. Anyway, this one I did the details and everything like that, and it looks to many people, depending on the shot, like a hat, but it's not. She's not wearing a hat. She's actually just standing underneath this massive fungus growing out of this tree, which is uncoloured, which I may do something later, but for this time I don't think it's necessary. I quite liked the design of the witch and everything, and I thought it was a good idea when I first came out with it, but hey ho, win some, you lose some. It's all about learning. Now this one may still be hibiscus, may still be my favourite witch. So I made the mistake of starting off drawing a giant flower, hibiscus. I did all the detail of drawing this giant flower, and I couldn't think of how to put a witch in there. And I thought, why don't I take this flower out as the main focus and have it as like falling into the background? So I thought, what can I do in order to do that? And I thought, well, witches can be really sexy, right? Well, they can be made kind of sexy. And I thought, okay, so what would be really cool, and how could I fit that in? And I didn't want to make it look, I don't know, like too slutty, like, you know. So I thought I can still make her look sexy and really cool and everything. Anyway, so I looked up references for like women laying down, and I wanted to find something that looked like lying on their back, you know, looking interesting, you know, like really cool. Anyway, and I managed to find one that looked pretty damn cool, and I thought, I can put this on there and make it work. Give her a hat here, give her long, lush, flowing hair, like falling down on the ground. And I was like, yeah, this will work. And hibiscus is like a beautiful flower anyway. So, yeah, and I thought I'd add this cat in that's just like, you know, kind of chilling with a witch. Anyway, yeah, I hope you like that one. That was probably one of my favorites. So this is the start. Catnip was the start of me changing up my styles for witches, because I thought, well, witches, you know, they probably blend into society. You wouldn't notice them if you know, saw a witch. You know, how would you know? It's not like they go around always wearing a hat. So this one, I looked up references for like fashion, and I was interested in looking up like K-fashion, because a lot of illustrators have done in the past. And so I thought, oh, I can like introduce that into witches. And catnip was my first one, because I decided it was too hard to always be creative on like different ideas of like how I should make them related to the plant itself or flower. So I thought, right, I'll make them the subject and have this as something that falls, you know, around them. So enter catnip. Sage is another example, but instead of giving a traditional witch hat, I gave this one the kind of catty hat which is alive. So it's like, you know, yeah. So it's the it'll come to me anyway. But this is Sage. So she's doing a bit of like witchy stuff, you know, with her cauldron. Coriander witch. So coriander witch, she's like, once again, she's got a tradish hat on with a little charm, and she wears her coriander charm. And her cat there that looks, as I've been told by my girlfriend, looks like she's buzzing, is actually got coriander eyes. So and she's got coriander coloured eyes. So but yeah, once again, this is all you know, Korean street fashion, which was just easier to look at references and just say, oh yeah, turn them into a witch, because witches are cool. And yeah, they'll blend in. You just wouldn't notice them being around. So yeah, that was how I decided to attempt this project. So cotton, her clothes made of cotton. She's wearing cotton on her shirt, just to show you. She's got a straight up hat, so she's all business and fly with her trainers, her sneakers, her trainers, what you want to call them, running shoes, whatever. Anyway, and she's got her witchy hat, traditional witchy hat. So she's just being real cool with her little catty necklace there. Here we go. We've got a forget-me-not trousers. This witch is obviously too cool. And she's got her backpack on with a little caddy. And there's a thing I noticed in a lot of K-fashion, that they hide the hands within the sleeves. I'm not sure if that's just like show off the fashion itself, like show off the style, so you don't pay attention. I don't know. I think that's a thing I've not really looked into, but they do that. So if you notice some of my pictures where I haven't cleaned hands, because one of the things I wanted to do is include hands in every single picture I draw of people, but that was an example which didn't have hands. Here we go, dandelion. I really like this picture, and I thought, oh, how can I turn that into something witchy? She was actually holding a handbag. I put this kind of crystal in a hand with a kind of a wand, large wand kind of thing she could grip, and her phone, using that as a magical kind of thing to bring out the dandelion out, came to me, and I was like, yeah, sweet. Yeah, so this witch is very, very cool and trendy, and she's got technology is her magic as well. So that's the dandelion witch. Here we go with Iris. Iris was quite an interesting like fashion thing, because she had really long sleeves, this huge big kind of I don't know, not teepee style kind of sweat top, but it was really cool the way it just hung, like it just like halfway through the bicep is connected to, you know, the T. So if you lift your arms up, it drags it up and gives this kind of like skirt kind of thing. But she was wearing jeans underneath, ripped jeans. I wanted to put that in, and she was wearing these kind of cool sneakers. So I drew in her sneakers, and I put little cat logos on there, and decided to give her a little moon symbol on her forehead. And then I realised that she's all black and everything. She kind of reminded me of Raven. But anyway, her colour being iris, I gave her iris coloured eyes. And as you can see, the red biro, I started using, like back when I started doing the K fashion style. Whoops, there goes camera. Right, doing the K fashion, like witches. So the Korean style ones, I started using the red biro to put outlines, as it just became really easy and nice to look at than drawing in black biro. As I didn't use any pencil throughout all my pictures, just so you know. I used ink only, because I'm a big fan of drawing in biro. As you can see, like most of these, I'm back to drawing hands again, because I looked at this and I want to like practice the hands and the gestures the hands create. Anyway, I quite like that. So here's my ebony witch, and she had a handbag in her hand, and I thought, draw this little cute cat logo sitting there. And once again, similar to the dandelion witch, I thought using technology to bring out power, and we got the ebony flower drawn there. So I've highlighted it in biro and a bit of the pinks, because in some of the pictures I was checking out on Google, there was like tiny like shadows of pink, but the flower is actually white. Yeah, so there's my ebony witch. Quite like that one. Yep, I had a blank. I was worried I was just going to run out of pages, because I started the next one on the page after. I didn't want to have to go 19 and then start 20. I thought I'd just continue anyway and see where it went. So here we have the mandrake witch, and I drew the witch, and I thought, where do I put the mandrake in? And I thought, well, why don't we have it like just growing or appearing from side of her head? And I thought, yeah, that worked for me. I quite like the fashion. I quite like the styling of her clothing, and managed to get the brown inks to go right. I don't think that was the original colours, but it's the colours I chose to go with this. It's a shame. I would have liked to have filmed these all while actually drawing, but the only thing is the pressure was quite high to get it right. Oh, and back here, this is when I was on holiday in Spain. I went to Sevilla, also known as Seville, but I went there, and so I was highly pressured in like completion and timing, because as a holiday I was with my girlfriend and we want to have a good time holiday, and I don't want her to be bored that I'm taking, you know, a couple of hours out just so I can do my Inktober. But I went and did it anyway on holiday, woohoo, and I completed everything on time. So anyway, back to this. So the Thistle Witch, and she's holding a wand that is producing thistles coming out of her wand. Yeah, so there. I can't remember what she was holding originally, if anything at all. I just thought I'd put the wand in her hand, and that's where the thistles will be growing. So anyway, Shiitake Witch. So I was still on holiday on this one, and this was one of my favourite witches that I did. I drew her, and I thought, I still have to have the shiitake come out of somewhere, and I thought, why don't I have it growing out of her shoulder, out of her clothes or something? I thought, fuck yeah, that'd be cool. Bit strange, but cool. I gave it a little K charm. Quite like that. Did that using the Pentel ink, gel ink, gel pen, whatever. Anyway, Eucalyptus Witch. So drew this witch. This was on the last day. This was me heading back from Seville to back to like London, and so this witch I drew in the airport and inked and coloured it in like in the cafe. Wasn't ideal, but I I liked the way it turned out. It still turned out really good. And the picture I took outside of the airport once I'd completed it. So she's just carrying her eucalyptus tree branches in her catty bag. Right, so that's that witch done. So day one back in the UK, my fern witch. So she's got ferns on her shirt. She's still all like K-fashion cool, wearing her sunnies. I wanted to put a little bit more detail and have her eyes actually being seen behind her sunglasses. So I drew them in, and she looks très cool. But yeah, that's that one. And then the cornflower witch, day 24. Yeah, I just thought she can just hold them in her hands, because why not? She had nothing else in her hands, so I thought just put them in there. Foxglove, I like the foxglove, and as I was playing shirt, I thought I'd draw my Zemi witch just chilling on her shirt, because why not? So my OC chibi style is just sitting on her shirt. People quite like that. Got some of the most likes on that particular pic. This is my Gardenia witch, and her hat is smothering her cat. Why not? And she has the tree behind her. I liked the witch. I thought it was quite cool fashion, quite cool looking. Knee highs. I chose the colours to be a bit more black to go with her hair, and that way it would be kind of feel witchy, because I think she's wearing slightly bright colours. Anyway, cinnamon witch. So I just wanted to do something cool. Gave her a modernised witch hat, a cap, with little moon symbols. She's got her little like I've given a number of witches like pumpkin earrings, but I couldn't colour them in brown, because if I did that it'd mix in with her hair, so I just greyed it out using the inks. And yeah, I quite liked the gesture. I thought it was fantastic, so I copied the gesture from this model, and as her hands were just resting like that, it was a bit odd. I thought, right, let's pop in some cinnamon and draw in like some cinnamon tied up in her hands, because hey, cinnamon witch. Yeah, quite like that. Right, so Ginkgo witch, day 28. Base kind of fashion. Gave her this witchy hat, and yeah, it's just generalized, like give her a bit of colour in her eyes. Apart from that, yeah, that day was done. A little handbag with ginkgo leaves coming out and summer strapped into her hat. This goes. I liked the hydrangea witch. The flowers are really cool, and you can find loads of them around the UK. My aunt has massive ones outside her house in her garden. But yeah, this was a cool witch. I thought, because sometimes on the plants you can find both colours, like on the same plant. I thought I'd give her eyes the kind of pink and blue combo. So cool witch. Next up, ivy, the ivy witch. So I was tempted to actually do a more poison ivy kind of style, and I thought, no, let's stick with the themes I've been going with. So once again, a Korean fashion style model was used as reference, and I just kitted her out with a bit of ivy, like going around her, and gave her ivy style coloured lips and eyes, and she's chilling with her caddy. Cool. So this being Halloween, the cannabis witch. I really like this witch. This one of my faves as well. I liked this K-fashion thing, and I saved this one purposely for the end. I thought this one is kind of a very cool one-style witch for Easter. I didn't want to give her the witch's hat. I didn't think it was necessary. Sometimes I think it's a little bit, like I say, it's over the top, because, you know, you have modern witches and they're not all walking around with their hats on. Okay, so Gave her a little mask because like she's playing around. So this is a fox mask I've given her. Why fox? Because pumpkin kind of orangey brown. Pumpkin fox, orangey brown. Right, yeah. I gave her kind of the browny hair as well, quite light. Strategically placed originally, and then I thought, well, that looks ridiculous. Let's give her a bit more. And it turned out looking great. She's got great legs, by the way, if you hadn't noticed. Great legs. Right, so cannabis plant growing in her garden, giant pumpkin, and this is literally what he calls my Inktober. And I hope you have enjoyed. This is Bertie Bird, and you can find me on Instagram as Bertie_bird_draws, and I'll be releasing hopefully a zine. So thank you all for watching. Please subscribe and support my channel. Thank you very much. Bye.